In a distant future ravaged by war, Commander Azara faces a haunting choice: invade Earth or protect it. As she discovers unexpected allies among humans, values clash and loyalties shift. With an impending invasion looming, will she betray her mission for compassion? The line between enemy and friend blurs, challenging the ethics of duty versus humanity. Will you choose survival or solidarity? If you dream of entering universes or planets where humans shine when they meet unknown races, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you will be happy every day with new wonderful sci-fi stories. Well, let's go. In the vibrant yet stark terrain of Zeta 9, the air was thick with urgency, reverberating against the rugged landscapes of deep green cliffs and glowing blue flora. Towering spires made of a crystal-like material glinted under the harsh light of a cerulean sky, casting prismatic reflections that danced across the assembly chamber of the High Council. The room was expansive, adorned with holographic projections of the galaxy and ancient battle shields that echoed the warrior heritage of the women who ruled this world. Commander Azara stood at the forefront, a striking figure amidst the council members. Her long, silver hair fell in a stark cascade against her brilliant iridescent combat suit, which shimmered with hints of mauve and teal, a testament to her rank. Her piercing blue eyes, as sharp as the edge of a plasma blade, surveyed the council with defiance and latent fear. She was known for her strategic prowess and fierce loyalty to her people, qualities that simultaneously set her apart and enclosed her in solitude. Commander, the lead counselor, Elder Nysara, spoke, her voice resonating in the cold, echoing chamber. She was a formidable presence, her skin adorned with tribal tattoos that told the history of their ancestors. Our scouts have identified Earth as a prime target for conquest. Prepare your crew for a reconnaissance mission. Show us the might of Zeta 9. A crackle of energy surged through Azara's core, bolstering her resolve. This was her moment, a chance to prove her worth to the Council and solidify her status among the warriors of Zeta 9. Yet, a pang of sadness tugged at her heart. It felt bittersweet to think of invading a world she had never known, particularly one so blue and inviting. It masked the discomfort of her mission's underpinnings beneath layers of adrenaline. As she assembled her team, the atmosphere shifted with anticipation. Are we really going to invade Earth? The elders always said humans are weak, a rookie officer named Lyra voiced, uncertainty flickering in her hazel eyes, contrasting starkly with the stoic expressions around them. Lyra was small and wiry with freckles dusting her nose, embodying youthful exuberance, yet she bristled with anxiety at the thought of engaging in battle. The High Council's orders leave no room for doubt, Azara replied, her voice steady, though her heart raced. The unyielding loyalty she'd cultivated sat heavy on her shoulders, pushing her forward even as a flicker of doubt ignited within her. We will show them the strength of Zeta 9. All doubts will be silenced. The council nodded in approval, their gazes unwavering. But in the recesses of Azara's mind, questions brewed and swirled like the winds around Zeta 9. The glorified warrior culture, lauded for its strength and valor, masked a history of subjugation and conquest. Would they become the very oppressors they claimed to abhor? As they prepared for departure, the sleek, dark silver spacecraft, designed for both stealth and might, gleamed under the strong winds of Zeta 9. Azara's hands brushed against the cool metal, feeling the pulse of the ship synchronized with the beat of her own rapid heart. Every person aboard would depend on her strength, on her resolve. The stakes could not be higher. The sleek spacecraft glided through the void, the stars outside twinkling like distant hopes. Commander Azara stood resolute at the helm. Her piercing blue eyes scanned the sprawling expanse of the blue planet below, Earth, the very target of their mission. The spacecraft, a masterpiece of Zeta technology with its gleaming surface and angular design, hummed gently, its systems operating at peak efficiency. Yet, even with all its capabilities, a sense of unease gnawed at her. As they entered Earth's orbit, shimmering clouds danced beneath them, casting shadows over verdant landscapes. The urge to conquer surged within her, a feeling programmed into her since her childhood. Suddenly, without warning, a blinding pulse of energy collided with their ship, sending tremors through the entire vessel. "Brace for impact," her first officer, Kellen, shouted from the navigation console, eyes wide with shock. Alarms blared, filling the air with an ominous warning. Azara's fingers gripped the controls tighter, forcing herself to focus amidst the chaos. The ship spiraled downward, plummeting through layers of atmosphere. With a deafening roar, they crashed into a vast, green field. The impact sent shockwaves through Azara's body, and as the dust settled, the crew stumbled out of the ship into the breathtaking chaos of Earth's wilderness. She stood, blinking against the rich air that enveloped them like a warm embrace. "Regroup," she commanded, her voice cutting through the fabric of disarray. Around her, her crew surveyed the scene. Fragments of the ship scattered like forsaken hopes, the smell of burnt metal mingling with the earthy aroma of the fields. Their fate etched in the subtle lines of confusion on their faces. "What do we do now?" A junior officer, Rin, asked with trepidation, her expression mirroring the uncertainty creeping into Azara's mind. "We survive. First, we assess the damage and then find a way to communicate with Zeta 9. Azara's heart raced. The sense of adventure was intoxicating, yet the looming thought of failing their mission gnawed at her. Would they be able to repair their ship? Or had they inadvertently landed in a hostile territory? The vast expanse of the Earth stretched before them, a chaotic tapestry of wonder and mystery, but also of potential danger. As Azara surveyed the horizon, a rush of adrenaline coursed through her veins. Could this planet truly embody the weakness they had been taught to expect? The striking contrast of vibrant greens and endless blue overhead felt surreal. In her mind, she sifted through her training, the lessons filled with tales of human failures and triumphs, their petty squabbles and relentless fear of the unfamiliar. No matter, Azara thought, we have superior technology. Yet, standing under the foreign sky, she couldn't shake the quickening pulse of doubt. Earth was unknown territory, a potential battleground not just for conquest but for understanding. Suddenly, a voice broke through her reverie. "Commander, we need to check the ship's systems. If we can get the transmitter working, we can call for reinforcements," Kellen urged, his brow creased with worry. "Do it," Azara replied, her lionheart's conviction aflame within her. "I'll scout the perimeter." Equipping herself with essential gear, a small energy blaster strapped at her side, she entered the wild, dwarfing the scattered remains of her ship. As she ventured deeper into the field, her senses heightened. Every rustle of grass and chirp of insects prickled her instincts. They were no longer just warriors of Zeta 9 but intruders on another world. The vastness of the field expanded in all directions, with only the jagged line of distant mountains breaking the horizon. Azara squinted against the sun, contemplating their next steps. The principles taught by the High Council echoed inside her head, urging her toward singularity of purpose. "Evaluate the land," she murmured to herself, recalling the survival strategies she had memorized. Every mission required reconnaissance, not just of the physical world, but of its inhabitants. Her heart raced again, this time fueled by her deep-seated hunger for knowledge that replaced fear, a hunger ignited by the thought of what lay ahead. As she moved through the tall grass, a soft buzz enveloped her, and the vibrant colors of this foreign world contrasted starkly with the sterile beauty of Zeta 9. After what felt like an eternity wandering the picturesque landscape, She finally spotted an unexpected sight. A humble farmhouse in the distance, smoke gently curling from its chimney, casting a cozy aura among the sprawling fields. Curiosity piqued. She made her way toward it, heart pounding. Was it the lair of their enemies or merely a sanctuary for the innocents? Before she could deliberate further, she heard voices, a mix of laughter and animated conversation. A knot tightened in her stomach. Could they be preparing to mobilize against her? Or were they simply unaware of her presence? Suddenly, the farmhouse door creaked open, revealing a woman with sun-kissed skin and wild, windswept hair, her laughter spilling into the air like music. She held a small child in her arms, the innocent giggles blending with the soft sounds of nature. Azara took a cautious step back, out of sight, overwhelmed by the conflicting emotions surging through her. Were these people the embodiments of what she had been taught to scorn? The weight of tens of thousands of lost lives, of rivalry, flooded her thoughts. Compassion or caution? How would she convey the sighting she felt tugging at her heart? Meanwhile, behind her, Kellen had successfully completed repairs on their ship's communication systems. Still, he wore a grimace. "Commander, you need to see this." Turning to face her crew, she saw Kellen's expression twist between frustration and urgency. The spark of rebellion flickered within her mind, competing against the teachings of her people. What if Earth harbored something more than vulnerability? What if they held the key to reconciliation and alliance? "We've established contact, Commander," Kellen continued, interrupting her thoughts. "But we're not alone here. There's chatter about sightings of unidentified spacecraft in the area. We may be in jeopardy." Azara's resolve tightened. Their mission could quickly devolve into an outright war. She realized they were potentially alien invaders in a tapestry woven deep with human history. For the first time, she questioned her own thoughts. Did their message carry worth, or would they breed conflict and chaos? Suddenly a loud rumble echoed across the sky. Darkness poured forth as shadows grew above. The other ships from Zeta 9 pushed through the clouds, circling like vultures, their intentions clear. In one swift motion, her world twisted upside down. "Get back to the ship," Azara barked, the realization hitting hard. In the heart of the field, dust swirled as a figure approached. Jack Cooper, a rugged mechanic with tousled brown hair and deep-set green eyes, stood before them, surveying the crew with a curious yet cautious glance. His well-worn leather jacket, frayed at the edges from years of hard work, hinted at countless encounters with the unpredictable elements of the world around him. There was a warmth in his smile that captivated Azara, but also an underlying shrewdness that suggested he had lived through trials which shaped his character, characteristics she initially underestimated. "What happened? You guys look like you fell out of the sky." He laughed, though the levity of his tone was contrasted by the apprehension lurking beneath the surface. His hands rested on his hips, revealing calloused palms that spoke of familiarity with machinery and repair work. "We need help," Azara admitted, her pride momentarily stripped away. "Our ship is damaged beyond our capacity to repair." Jack's expression softened as he noticed the sincerity in her voice, and he swiftly gestured toward a path leading away from the field. "I've got tools and know-how. Follow me to my shop. Let's see what we can fix." As they moved, Jack shared stories of Earth, its rich tapestry of cultures, struggles, and resilience. His voice was animated, painting vivid images of bustling cities and serene landscapes, of human ingenuity and perseverance. The more he spoke, the more Azara was drawn to this planet she had once considered an easy target for conquest. In Jack's cluttered workshop, surrounded by gadgets and spare parts, a surprising bond blossomed between them. Azara had always viewed humans as simplistic creatures, driven by base instincts and emotions, but Jack introduced her to a world where creativity and resilience thrived, even in the face of insurmountable odds. His laughter was infectious, and they exchanged stories about their respective worlds with a sense of levity and trust that was completely new for Azara. Amidst the sound of clanging tools and hurried repairs, Jack peered up from under the ship's damaged panel with curiosity shining in his eyes. "Why do you fight, Azara?" he asked one evening, wiping sweat from his brow, his expression serious now, curious as if he were discovering a hidden piece of her world. "For honor, for my people." She hesitated, the weight of her purpose bearing down on her. "But maybe, I'm starting to question that." The vulnerability in her voice hung in the air like a barely flickering flame fighting against the wind. Jack leaned against a workbench, studying her with a mixture of admiration and frustration. "Questioning is good," he replied. "But don't you think it's time to find out what you're really fighting for?" As the remaining nights in the field wore on, the dynamic between Azara and Jack shifted subtly. The tension of their differing backgrounds began to dissolve into a shared understanding. She found herself contemplating the richness of human experiences, witnessing unwavering friendships, parental sacrifices, and the strong sense of community that tied Jack and his fellow humans together. One evening, as a warm breeze swept through the workshop, Jack initiated a brainstorming session to fix their spacecraft. Surrounded by an assortment of tools, panels, and drawings sprawled across every available surface, they dove deep into the mechanics of their ship. "Here," Jack pointed with a tool in hand, "if we replace the fuel conduit with this, it should help with the energy output. But it needs precision, something I'm not sure my tools can handle," he admitted sheepishly. Azara's brow furrowed in thought. "We could reshape the pieces. I'll use my kinetic manipulation abilities to adjust the structure. You'll just need to ensure the fittings are aligned properly." The revelation of their interconnected skills sparked enthusiasm, and they worked tirelessly together through the night, digging for remnants and solutions. The workshop thrummed with energy, the air charged by their collaborative spirit. As the days passed and Jack and Azara repaired the ship, the looming directive from the Zetan High Council crept like a shadow over them. The unease of her mission rattled within Azara's chest as they gathered supplies and knowledge, preparing for the inevitable emergence of their respective allegiances. One fateful day, they stood atop a grassy knoll overlooking the vast open fields, where they sustained their makeshift repairs and intense planning. A dissonance swirled in the air as Azara wrestled with her conflicting emotions, duty to her people versus the new bond she had formed with Jack. "What will you do when you return?" Jack's voice cut through the silence, laced with an underlying tension that she couldn't ignore. "I will not abandon Earth," she declared, her heart thundering in her ears. "We must unite these humans against Zeta 9 before the invasion." She felt an exhilaration swell among the warriors surrounding her resolve. Tension built within the humans they were befriending, creating an odd alliance forged from necessity and shared goals. Her mind turned to the imminent confrontation, a battle between not just their worlds, but the philosophies that underpinned them. They delved deeper into establishing connections with the local community, meeting farmers, engineers, and even artists who expressed through vibrant murals the beauty of their lives' struggles and dreams. To Azara, each encounter was like entering a new reality, a world she had never imagined could exist. As they forged these bonds, a whisper of uncertainty flowed through the relationships forming on both sides. Azara felt the mounting pressure of her original mission weighing against a burgeoning loyalty to her newfound companions. "What's happening to you, Azara?" a fellow warrior questioned during a discussion late one night, bewildered and leaning heavy against a tree, the flickering campfire illuminating his face. "Where is your loyalty?" "I am discovering a new loyalty, one grounded in compassion," she replied fiercely, the fierceness of her resolve blurring the lines of expectation. Days turned to nights as a thick veil of anticipation hung in the air. The gathering clouds above mirrored the swirling uncertainty within her about the loyalty she had sworn to uphold. Coalescing emotions formed questions that tested her beleaguered spirit. This alliance was evolving from necessity into something far more complex. As tensions mounted, she anxiously awaited the message from the Council. The hum of technology wrapped around her like the frost of night. A chill brushed against her skin as she wondered how she could confront the High Council, unmasking her doubts and fears. Suddenly, the ship's comm system crackled to life, shocking her back to reality. "Commander Azara," the authoritative voice of the Council echoed with a chilling clarity. "Return immediately or face punishment for disobedience. You have become a traitor to Zeta 9. Her heart sank with the uncertainty of betrayal and loyalty battling within her, blurring the lines of right and wrong with every passing heartbeat. The days slipped past like sand through fingers as Azara stood in the quiet hum of the ship's mechanical bay, her thoughts constantly swirling like the multicolored nebulae visible through the cracked viewport. Each clink of tools against metal seemed to echo her deepening turmoil. They were making headway on repairs, but every snap and screech ached with the reality of her choice. The shimmer of Zeta 9 was long gone, replaced by shades of green and the intoxicating cries of Earth's creatures, which now held her captive. With a heavy heart, Azara pondered the doomsday tension building beneath her breast. The High Council's voice crackled through the ship's communicator, dragging her back to the present. The fury of her superiors pierced the silence, a directive laden with threats laced in urgency. "Commander Azara, you are to return immediately or face punishment for disobedience," the voice echoed, a frigid reminder of her ties to Zeta 9. "You have become a traitor to our cause." The words hit her like a blast of energy, sending shockwaves through her very being. She could feel Jack's expectant gaze cutting through her spiraling thoughts. "What will you do?" he asked softly, concern etched across his rugged features. The weight of loyalty pressed heavily on her chest, writhing like a trapped serpent. "I will not abandon Earth," she declared, her voice a sharp contrast to the chaos swirling within. "I will unite these humans against Zeta 9 before the invasion." The flicker of disappointment crossed Jack's face, but it was quickly replaced by determination. "Then we'll prepare them. The community needs to see there's something worth fighting for." Together, they forged a plan, gathering locals to inform them of the impending threat. Azara felt a rush of authority, uncharted terrain as she stood not as a conqueror, but as an ally. It was a surreal twist of fate she'd never anticipated, a swift shift from predator to protector. As the sun dipped below the rugged horizon, they convened in a murmuring town square, brightened by dimly glowing holographic projectors that flickered like stars above their heads. Azara stood on a makeshift platform, her heart racing as she surveyed the anxious faces of the townsfolk, their eyes full of curiosity mixed with apprehension. "People of Earth," she began, her voice firm yet tempered with urgency. "I come from a planet that seeks to conquer, but I stand here to warn you, we are not your enemies." Her words hung heavy in the air, drawing gasps of disbelief mixed with cautious hope. "Commander," a voice cut through the crowd, a stocky man with a tousled beard and deep lines etched into his sun-baked skin. "Why should we trust you? You are Zeta." Azara met his gaze unflinchingly. "Because I, too, am beginning to see the beauty of your humanity. You fight for something worth preserving. I can help you." The crowd murmured again, confusion brewing amid their doubts. Jack stepped in, his easy charisma drawing some eyes. "Look, we all want the same thing. A future free of war, for ourselves and our children. Let's work together to create that future." His words sparked a flicker of connection among the audience. They began to converse in hushed tones, debating the prospect of an alliance with someone they once deemed an enemy. The rumbles of mistrust morphed slowly into cautious discussions about unity. The seeds that Azara and Jack had planted began to take root. Days turned into nights, filled with frantic strategy sessions and earnest conversations, as their makeshift alliance grew. Azara taught her new friends about the tactics of battle, sharing insights about Zeta 9's technology that could be turned against her own people. The locals, in turn, educated her about life on Earth, its history of resilience, its culture of rebellion against oppression. One afternoon, while sharpening the edge of a blade they had salvaged, a fellow warrior from Azara's crew approached her. "What's happening to you, Azara?" she questioned, bewilderment painting her expression. "You're losing sight of your loyalty." Azara gripped the blade tighter, feeling the metallic coolness against her palm. "I am discovering a new loyalty," she replied fiercely, pulsating conviction into her words. "One grounded in compassion, one that could unite us all in our fight for something greater than ourselves." The tension between the very notion of war and the promise of peace intensified with each passing moment, colliding like two celestial bodies. Conversations turned to questions, and relationships flared with ignited passion. But the shadows of Zeta 9 hovered above them, threatening to snuff out the flickering hope rekindled between the worlds. Then, the call came. The luminous ships of Zeta 9 pierced the clouds, looming ominously against the vibrant blues of the sky. Azara felt her heart race, an electric pulse of dread slicing through the air. They were there, poised for a bloody reclamation. With every moment that passed, the sense of impending doom wrapped tighter around the fragile alliance. Desperation surged within her as she and Jack gathered the community once more. Standing before the assembled crowd, the warriors, mechanics, shopkeepers, and farmers, Azara spoke. "They're coming, but if we stand together, we can show them that the strength of people united in compassion far outweighs the might of those who wish to divide us." Jack stood by her side, his presence a steady reassurance. "We are not just fighting for our lives, we're fighting for a chance to decide our own fate. The future belongs to those who dare to unite against the darkness." Hope flickered in their eyes, a connection forming among the disparate threads of humanity. The spirals of unity, however fragile, gave them resolve. They worked through the harvest moonlit nights to prepare. Weapons forged from the fragments of broken machinery, traps built into the choking undergrowth, strategies woven as closely as their growing camaraderie. And then, everything erupted. As the Zeta ships descended, shadows stretching like claws across Earth's landscape, the ground reverberated with a cacophony of roaring engines and anxiety-laden whispers. Azara's heart raced as she stood poised with her makeshift army, each breath thick with trepidation and resolve. In the thickening air, commands surfaced in a flurry. The warriors readied themselves beside grounded locals, anticipation coursing through their veins. The fate of their two worlds hung delicately in the balance. As the communication system crackled to life, Azara, with her spirit aflame, raised her hand firmly to silence the chaos. "Zeta 9, I call for peace. We are not enemies. Together we can build a future beyond conflict." Jack's hand found hers, a grounding warmth amidst the storm. The sky darkened as the great battle loomed ever closer, starships descending upon Earth, filling the firmament with an ominous presence. The vastness above was speckled with the metallic gleam of Zeta 9's warships, their silhouettes creating a foreboding contrast against the dying light of day. The atmosphere was thick with palpable tension, twisting like a coiled serpent ready to strike. In the center of a cleared field, Commander Azara stood resolute, surrounded by communities of Earth's inhabitants alongside her loyal Zeta warriors. She was armed not with weapons, but with a fervent message for both her home world and the planet she sought to conquer. As she glanced at her newfound allies, she felt a mix of pride and fear coursing through her veins. They were with her not just in battle, but in their shared belief in a new future. Zeta 9, I call for peace. We are not enemies, together we can build a future. Her voice rang out, strong and defiant, as it pierced through the echoes of the approaching ships. For a brief moment, the hum of engines and distant echoes of war fell silent, as if the universe itself paused to listen. Jack stood by her side, his rugged features etched with anxiety, yet masked with the burning hope that had ignited between them. "They will listen, right?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, catching the weight of their uncertain fate. Azara turned to him, her piercing blue eyes reflecting not only the vastness of space but the depths of her resolve. "They have to. If not for us, then for the future of Zeta 9, for the warriors who fight blindly, and the humans who wish for solace." Every syllable dripped with conviction, the fire in her spirit igniting courage in those around her. As the ships hovered ominously in the sky, belief and fear surged together among their throng. The Zeta warriors, initially bred to embody ferocity and domination, slowly began to shift. Eyes once trained on Earth as a target now regarded it with curiosity and unexpected attachment. In the heart of the gathering, an elderly woman stepped forward from the cluster of humans. Her skin was weathered, yet her gaze burned with fierce dignity. "Commander Azara, are you sure they will hear you?" she asked, her voice frail yet unwavering. "More than ever, we must trust that the embers of hope can illuminate the path to understanding," Azara replied, her words grounding her emotions. "They hold a choice today, either to bring devastation upon us all or to recognize the humanity we share." The ground trembled beneath them as the Zeta fleet exchanged low-frequency communications, the faint lights on the ships blinking rhythmically. The rhythmic pulses echoed with a message, a dialogue lodged deep between worlds teetering on the brink of war. Moments stretched into eternity, each heartbeat resonating more loudly in the compelling silence. Suddenly, a brilliant blue light flashed from the lead Zeta warrior ship, bright enough to illuminate even the darkest corners of the field. Together, Azara whispered, extending her hand toward Jack, forging an unspoken bond that tethered them to one another and the uncertain destiny that awaited. Above them, the starfield seemed to pulse with possibilities, as if the universe itself were holding its breath in eager anticipation. Then, a voice broke through the silence, clear and authoritative. "Commander Azara of Zeta 9, this is High Counselor Yenin. We have received your message. Our environment speaks of conflict, yet your words echo through the heart of the Council. Are you asking us to forsake our mission, to turn our backs on tradition for the sake of these humans?" Azara's heart raced, each word a weightless dance on the precipice of resolve and rebellion. "I am asking you to consider, High Counselor, that we are all part of the same continuum of existence. We are warriors, yes, but what is the strength of our blades when wielded against those who seek peace? We can redefine our legacy." As she spoke, an ethereal calm appeared to wash over the gathered crowd, their tight grips loosening on weapons and tools. Muffled gasps rippled through the humans, the shock of an intergalactic commander advocating for peace igniting a spark of hope. "Will you stand beside us, Zeta warriors?" an enthusiastic local farmer shouted, raising his arms wide as if to embrace the universe. "Let us forge a new path, born of our desire for unity." The warriors exchanged glances, doubts waning as courage ignited within them. One by one, they began to echo the farmer's sentiment, their voices rising as if creating a symphony of dissent against the suffocating edict of warfare. Even as the High Council of Warrior Women deliberated, the atmosphere shifted, warmer, lighter. "Commander Azara, Yenin continued, her voice tinged with uncertainty. If we choose peace, the Council must bear the consequences of this deviation. It is not just your life that hangs in the balance, but the honor of Zeta 9 itself. Honor does not have to reside in bloodshed, Azara retorted passionately. Our warriors can embody a valor that radiates beyond violence. Together, we stand not as enemies but as guardians of our worlds, willing to fight for each other rather than against. As her words hung in the air, two luminous orbs of light broke free from the Zeta fleet, ascending toward the heavens, illuminating the night sky with swirling patterns of iridescent colors. A sign of transformation, a cosmic celestial dance ignited by hope intertwined with the courage of uncertain hearts. Then came the unexpected reverb from the mothership. We choose to listen to your calls for peace. Zeta 9 shall stand with Earth. Federation is upon us. Let it be forged from compassion rather than conflict. A collective cheer erupted, a chorus of jubilance intertwining moments of disbelief with hope. Allies stood side by side, hands clasped and hearts ablaze, sentiments crashing against each other in an amalgamation of relief, joy, and cautious optimism. Yet, deep within Azara, a familiar ember of caution flickered. Could this tenuous understanding hold against the generations of strife, the haunting shadows of mistrust? A single thought echoed in her mind. Unity had the power to reshape destinies, yet it could just as easily unravel seams bound together by mere glimmers of hope. Tomorrow is not promised, she murmured. But the dawn is here. In that moment, as the sky began to lighten with the first hints of a new day, a sense of mystery lingered in the air, intermingled with the promise of a brighter future. One forged not in isolation or bloodletting, but in vulnerability, understanding, and an unexpected camaraderie. With each passing second, the threads of fate wove tighter, a connection stronger than any weapon could sever. So began the shared legacy of Azara, Jack, and the inhabitants of Earth. A journey filled with both uncertainty and tremendous potential. A continuous narrative echoing throughout time. A question left lingering in the cosmic expanse. What will we choose, tomorrow and beyond? The answer, ever elusive, awaited in the heartbeats of those daring to dream. And as twilight turned to dawn, they awaited a new beginning, not merely as warriors but as architects of a shared fate. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.